All right, y'all. Welcome back to Science Sundays. I'm your host, Apprentice Grown Medical. I know it's been a while. We've been busy. Summer gets busy. Everybody's trying to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and everybody's learning, and everybody's got new stuff to share. So we thought we'd do a nice Science Sunday. I'd like to start out by saying we don't condone or promote any illicit drug use, any illegal activities, any growing activities in illegal states. We're not out there promoting any of this stuff, guys. So if you're tuning in for any of that, you got the wrong place. Having said that, I would like to welcome you all to Science Sunday on 9/2/2008. It's just about 6:30, and we've got Jeep in the house with us. We've got Cosmonaut King in the house with us. We've got Slinky hanging back. She's in chat. And we're going to do a nice little show here for you guys. We're going to try to talk about some DIY LED and what we've done, what we've used, upgrades from some of the more inexpensive, and how to maybe hack a few things. We'll see what we can get into. But I want to say hi to everybody. I want to say hi to anybody in chat. I'm not really paying attention to the YouTube chat, but I'm hoping that somebody out there is going to click on the YouTube chat, and at least if somebody says hi or whatever, they can tell us. But yeah, so that's what's up, guys. And I want to say cheers as I hit this bong, and welcome to the show. Jeep, Cosmo, you got anything you want to say?
Oh, just cheers as well as I'm taking this dab.
Nice. So, this is Science Sunday. I'm going to do some grow talk, or at least talk about some do-it-yourself stuff. Today I've been working on a do-it-yourself aeroponics cloner. It's just a tote with some misters and a submersible pump and some hoses and some connections, and we're going to see if we can't make her work. Having said that, I have built some DIY LED lights. Basically all they are is your house bulbs, and I searched out 2700 Kelvin and 4000, 5000 Kelvin bulbs to mix up the spectrums a little bit for the grow, and I bought some 7-way splitters and screwed those light bulbs into those splitters and got some LED lights going on, and that's how I started. Since then, I've gotten some really nice gifts from some really awesome people, especially my brother Undercover Girl. A big shout out to him. He's passed on a couple of King LEDs to me that are the star of my bloom show, if we're gonna call it that. And between that and the two, so I've taken 2 7-way splitters, and they're split them apart, rewired them on a piece of it's a 4-foot piece of 1x3 oak, and taped those frickin' things to that piece of wood, hung that piece of wood, screwed the light bulbs in, plugged her in, and now instead of being concentrated on one area, it's spread out over a 4-foot area. I've got 2 of those going on with the Kings that my brother UCG hooked me up with in my boom, and that's what I'm using. I've taken another one of those 7-way splitters apart, and I put it on the back of a washing machine panel. If you take and flip your washing machine off, you can take that back off, and that panel, what I did is I just secured those 7-way splitters to that light, or that panel, I'm sorry, and put my light bulbs in there, and that's my veg light, guys. That's what I run. It's pretty much all DIY, except for a few gifts.
Pretty awesome.
Now I know there's a lot more ways out there to do it. I'm looking into right now. I'm actually looking into getting some Vero cobs and seeing if I can't hack this Mars and use these drivers to run a few Veros and get some more light going on in there in that bloom. You can never have too much, I guess.
And so, I mean, you can always look at the Veros. I mean, they're definitely nice lights. I can't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure within the 36 volt cob rating between the Veros, the Cree 35 and whatever,
90s.
Yeah. And then the CLU 48 1212s. Um, the 1212s are a third of the price. You know what I mean? And so you might look into those. Honestly, that's why I went that route. And to be honest, most of what I see is pretty similar. So you might think about that at least while they're cheap.
Now those 1212s are the ones that you were saying they're like $9 a pop right now.
Yeah,
So
or actually pretty much anywhere to be honest.
okay, okay, I hear you. And now, do you can you find those? Can you find them at Chill, or I mean, is there a certain website that you got to go to? You got to go to Google, or I mean, where do you find those specific cobs?
So personally, when I'm sourcing my cobs, sorry for the cough. But basically, so when I source my cobs, most of the time, 90% of the time, I go to Cobb Kits and deal with Cobby. He is awesome. He's local. He's fast. You can talk to him. He responds within a couple of minutes. He's on Roll It Up, and all in general, he's a great guy, and I totally endorse him. He's awesome. Other than that, if you're in a pinch, if you need something that he doesn't have, or you just need a whole lot of something at a really good price. I also use Alibaba and just buy them straight from China. And I got mine in like a week and a half, something like that. So it was pretty fast for something from China. But yeah, look up DigiKey, Arrow, pretty much all of the main electronics blood, blood distributors, and I know the website looks intimidating, but just go to the search and type in the bulb that you want, and it should pop up.
Okay, that sounds easy enough. Now,
Yeah.
can you get? Let me ask you this: you seem to know a lot more about building uh, LED lights than I do. Like I said, I've only used some house bulbs and some photography splitters to achieve what I've been able to do so far. But now, I know that you need drivers. I know that you need heat sinks. I know that you need certain things. Can you order all that stuff on Alibaba, or is that
So
something that you have to source like drivers from? Because I know that you want certain drivers too. Like you want to be able to run a certain amount of cobs on each driver and things like that. And that your
exact.
heat sink also makes a difference in how efficient and how effective um, your lights work, and then also how much heat is being produced in your grill.
And so at certain points in time, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about building your own lights. And actually, that's the one point that I'm gonna point out with your guys's versus mine is that, I mean, I bought everything basically in big sizes, and kind of pieced it together with heat sinks and the drivers and the cobs and all of that good jazz, while you just basically did the bulbs. But by heat dissipation standards and all of that, um, you're basically just running a little bit of smaller diodes. And so I mean, they actually work just about the same, and depending on how much you can cram and what kind of space, they will work exactly the same, because in theory they're almost the same thing, uh, but and
Now,
so with that.
how does a house LED bulb work? Does it have a mini driver inside of it? Does it have like some kind of a chip that takes the AC and makes it DC? How do they make that work inside that bulb? Can you
And
explain
so
that to me?
yeah, so basically with like the house bulbs and stuff, that little metal pin that you see when you look at the screw inside, and then the metal coil around the ring where you screw it in itself, is going to be the positive and the negative. And attached to both of those is a tiny little AC to DC driver, and it's going to do the 120-volt in to whatever out. And so, with that basically being said, you really could either, uh, like what I'm gonna do soon is basically just multiply as many light bulbs as I buy from the dollar store, I'm gonna multiply the driving current blah together, and then just get um, a 120 volt AC driver to whatever DC, and then basically drive them directly off of 120 volt current from the wall. You know what I mean? But so with that being said, sorry, I kind of rambled off on that.
No,
Um,
you're good.
it really is. It's kind of just like uh, I was talking about it with Undercover Grower the other day. They really are just, it's like an all-in-one unit where the housing is a heat sink itself with a tiny little AC driver inside of it attached to the light bulb. And depending on if you get like the Cree floodlights, it's going to be a little cob, and it's a little 36 volt. Can't remember exactly what size, but it's a 15 millimeter diode, and it's a pretty good size. If you get the ones from the dollar store, like a regular house bulb, it's gonna be more of a quantum board style diode, the little squares, and there'll be like 8 to 16 of them packed on there. And so with that being said, it's gonna be whatever different type of bulb style attached to a little driver, housed in the heatsink itself. And as Blood Grower was saying, um, he touched them at the end of his light cycle, and he's got like quite a few packed in there, and they were cold. I mean, they were doing their
Right.
job exactly as they were supposed to. And so, I mean, with that being said, and all in one being pushed, to what it should, crammed in a tight space, is going to do exactly what it needs to. And so, if you were wanting to build like that, you wouldn't exactly need to go any further, to be honest, than buying just the regular kind of just wall socket light, light socket uh, fixtures, and then mounting them to something, and then just screwing in whatever color bulbs that you want. But that's one thing that I stress is stick to similar diodes. So if you're going to run just like the floodlight cobs, run just those. If you're going to run the smaller diodes, just run those. And so your spectrum path is going to be even across your canopy, and certain things won't get, a little bit fried, or, some light burn if you slam your lights down really, really close. So odd things like that don't happen. And then I stress symmetry. So basically, if you're going to do a couple of 2700, a couple of 3500, and a couple of 4000s, basically put them symmetrical. And so basically the light path doesn't get too muddled once it reaches your canopy, because since it's just basically a blue diode with a phosphor coating on it that will change the color, basically that's why I stress and say to stick to the same diode size, is because so if you use like a cob with a couple of diodes, and you're using, so say, some far red diodes with some cobs, then whatever side your far reds are on is going to be prioritized. And then most of that light is not, doesn't have the density or the luminescence that the cobs do. And so
Right.
to a point, it's just going to get muddled and washed out, and then return back to the same light spectrum as your cob diodes, and you're not actually going to receive any benefit at some certain point.
So
I
your
kind
far
of
reds would have to be your far reds would have to kind of outweigh your original cobs in order for the far reds to actually penetrate or have any effect on your growth.
Oh, I'm just saying, if you use far reds, you're gonna want to use a quantum board style layout. You know what I mean? So if you're slapping like a couple of far red strips from the horticulture lighting group that are, I think, like 10 or 15 diodes, that are like 2 millimeters a piece, and then you look at like a CLU 58 that is, almost an inch in diameter. Basically, yeah, I mean, you're not really going to get any sort of penetration from that red light, and you're going to have to back that light off to where, you're not going to get anything from it. But if you use the same diode size and keep them symmetrical, then whatever spectrum that you are pulling downwards is going to be even across the whole thing. And that's why I stress, like, the Mao pucks are done really, really well and really, really right,
Right.
because that's how he spectrum blends. Is he uses the exact same diodes, exact same bins, and so on and so forth, and basically then we'll put them symmetrically across his board to where it's an even blend, even light path and an even color.
Right. Right. Well, and Mouse makes it easy. I mean, he really does make it easy. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, and he really does.
I mean, did you see the new connectors that he posted on Instagram? I think it was. He posted a short video of some of these new side connectors
I did
that you
not.
can.
I'll look it up
Oh,
right
dude,
now.
you gotta see those. It's cool as shit. I guess
Hey,
it's like a ripoff of like a Chechenian or something like that. But I'm telling you, man, these things are cool. Like they're yeah, next level
really?
LED lighting stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm checking that out right now. So give me 1 second if I go silent.
Yeah, no, go ahead and do it. So how you doing today, Jeep? What kind of DIY stuff have you done in your grill? I know that you don't really DIY a whole lot, but I know that you
Oh shit, that is
DIY
cool.
your whole setup as far as like your room and everything. You know, you don't just pick a room and grow. You DIY your entire wall system and shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, my lights are just standard metal halide and HPS.
Oh,
But
right,
I
but I mean, as
built
far as your
built my
grill,
room. I don't use
yeah,
the
you build your
tents.
rooms out and shit. Hell yeah. Now, do you go with Panda film when you build out your rooms, or have you found something else that works better or is cheaper or anything?
I use Panda film.
Oh,
It's
straight up
easier,
Panda film.
easiest to clean, I think.
Ah, okay. Now, can you reuse your Panda film? Do you build in such a way that you can like take it down and take it to the next, say,
No,
or move your room around if you needed to?
no, no. I have to
I,
use new film each time.
I
Okay.
do. So basically, my way on that, it's pretty fucking hard, and it's kind of, I'm not exactly sure if it's price efficient because Panda Film, I mean, at like $50 for I mean, I think it's 12 feet by some shit. It's huge. Um, it's pretty cheap stuff, but basically what I do is just take Gorilla Tape and I do a frame around the whole sheet, and then I'll staple into that. You know what I mean? And so it's much more sturdy and rigid.
Gotcha.
And then yeah, the holes don't show up.
Yeah, I do the same. It's just I don't try to reuse it at all. I just end up pitching it because
Pippin.
I buy 100-foot rolls at a time, so
Oh, right,
it's just
right. And you're
easier
only
that way.
building what, like a 4x8 when you're building your room out, Jeep? I mean, what's your
It's
normal?
a 6x6 right now, but yeah,
Okay, 6x6. Now you've got a bloom and a veg going right now, right?
yeah.
Do you go the same size 6x6 for both?
No, no. The veg is 4x4.
Oh, okay.
I usually only do like half veg space to bloom space, but I had the extra room in there, so I just went 4x4.
Oh, okay.
I keep the light low enough that it's pretty much a 3x3.
I'm pretty much in that boat too.
I mean, I've got, I'm pretty lucky. my son-in-law had bought a 3x3 gorilla tent, and then decided that he didn't really want to grow, so he brought it over here to me, and I've been using that as my veg tent. And it really works well as far as being able to seal it up and like keep the air moving, and like it's been a great tent. But at the same time, it is only 3x3, and though it's 70 inches tall, it's only 3 wide by 3 wide. And when you're trying to veg, plants big enough to flip in a 3x3, you can only veg so many of them.
Right.
it makes it difficult to fill up a 5x8 bloom room with a 3x3 bed.
Right.
I feel like in veg though you can kind of pack them closer.
And that's where I'm at too. I kind of overlap and flip and flop.
See, my thing is I can only get the 4 5-gallon buckets in my veg. Like,
okay,
even if I was trying to go 3-gallon buckets, the 3-gallon buckets aren't any less wide than the 5. Like,
right,
you've got to get
shorter.
something that, right, you've got to find, I would have to find something that was actually a slimmer tank in order to run more of them in the veg.
You could run, they have the 3 net pot lids. You could run those and put 3 in each 5-gallon bucket to veg.
Yeah, I already have.
And then when you switch,
rooting together, I don't need my plants rooting together.
That was my question. I was just gonna ask. So thank you for answering that. But Jeep also on that.
What's up?
Or do you have anything on that though? Curious. I mean, is that all right? I mean, do you think that like the stretch time? So basically, if you were to use the triple, do you think that basically a couple extra days maybe on your stretch time would be enough for your roots to rebound if you were to like kind of hack them up a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like they'd be all right. You wouldn't be vegging as long, so they really wouldn't get quite as tangled up.
Well,
if you're gonna veg a massive plant,
I wouldn't veg them as long. I mean, I took that plant 4 weeks and she filled up that 3x3. I mean, you guys saw that when I flipped her. That 3x3 was completely full. That locomotion wasn't even getting any light no more. She was pissed.
Yeah. I've always been curious of like if you could just make a little divider, you know what I mean? A little plastic divider that sits just a little bit up, you know what I mean? And it'll keep at least the sides of the roots from growing together.
You probably could, as long as you had like the diffuser centered under all 3, so it mixed all of it up still,
Exactly.
Yeah, you'd have to have an air stone for each one, but you might be able to get away with dividing them somehow in the res with, say,
and to be honest, I run 3 stones.
I don't even know. How would you divide them?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna think about that, because how could you divide a res into 2 so that you could essentially veg 2 plants in 1 5-gallon bucket? I'm gonna see if I can come up with a divider and make that work.
And yeah, I'm just thinking, well, maybe something that doesn't quite touch the bottom, and so the bubbles will hit both. But to be honest, I personally run 3 air stones in each of my buckets, anyways. You know what I mean?
What size air stones?
Just the smaller round ones.
I gotcha.
Yeah, when I ran DWC, I ran at least 3 of the 1-inch circles by I think it's like 2-inch long. I'd always have 3 of those, just because the more oxygen you have, the more nutrient you can push.
And that's where I'm at. I just like all the air.
Well, I've got 2 air stones in my bloom bucket, right? I've got 2 in that one, but I've only got a single stone in each one of my veg buckets right now. Which, I mean, they're getting way more air than they were with the dual line air pumps that I was using, the small aquarium pumps.
All right.
So I'm pretty happy with it, and they seem happier too.
All right. And I've pulled out air stones from my main buckets, and I've put them in my cloner for a little bit, and they've been just fine. It really hasn't made too much of a difference.
So now, when you say the little round air stones, there's many different
Yeah, that's
little
true.
round air
That's true.
stones. So are you talking about like a
Sorry.
3-inch round flat air stone or 4-inch round flat air stone, or more of
Uh,
like they're like they kind of
I
look
guess,
like a filter.
yeah, kind of like the filter. It's the little cylinder ones.
Okay.
I recently got a couple of 8-inch round ones, but they only take a full hose connector, and so I got to get a whole bunch of splitters and shit for that, and they only work so well anyways.
Easy, easy. Careful now.
Right.
Careful. Pardon me. So yeah, so Jeep muted himself again, and nobody's really talking or in chat, I should say. But yes, small tubes, you are a moderator now. You got your wrench. I hope you're listening. If you got anything to add or have anything you want to ask anybody on the panel tonight, man, go ahead and throw it up there in chat. If anybody else is watching, it says there's 3 people watching. I'm sure one of them's me. Or maybe it's not. Who knows? But it's probably Jeep and small tubes and Slink. Maybe. Are you watching Slink? Who knows? But anyway, we appreciate you guys watching, and if you do have any, if you do have any questions or anything, don't forget to call the phone number. I'm pretty sure that still works. And look us up on Instagram, Science Network. You can always ask questions there. Check us out. Check us each out on Instagram. I'm pretty sure we all have an Instagram. Mine is Apprentice. Jeeps is 97 Jeep.
I'll
Yeah,
eventually get one up.
check out our YouTube channels. We're all linked here in SciEnts. Subscribe. Nobody's got any content, but subscribe anyway because we'd like to play the YouTube game.
And so, is this on YouTube, Curious Apprentice?
Is this on YouTube? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well then, but before we leave, I'm gonna finish off my little ramble on my sheet, and so then at least it'll be on there for previous lookups.
There you go. If you want to, go on YouTube and go in the chat, and I'll give you a wrench, and you can put a link in chat if you want to.
Okay, cool.
And then we can copy the link and put it in the description and stuff later on afterwards.
Okay.
If we want to.
And that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, every little bit of info and knowledge and stuff helps. I mean, that's what the community's all about. I know there's a lot of stuff going around on IG lately. I saw some stuff with, I think there was some drama with GML and somebody else, and I'm just like, man, why can't we just fucking smoke a bong and be like, you know what? So what?
Dude, right?
I don't care what he said, she said, and all that stuff. Like, it sucks that somebody's hating on you, but at the same time, man, if you're gonna get caught up in that shit, then you kind of deserve it, I guess.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to talk shit. Like, I'm really not. I just feel like if you're gonna get caught up in a bunch of drama, then I mean, you're gonna get drama.
Right,
you're
exactly.
Just kind of asking for it.
If you hang around with drama people, then they bring drama, and you're prepared for that, I guess, even if you aren't a drama person.
Yeah, you kind of have to be, though, right? Like, if you're gonna have those people around, you pretty much have to be prepared to take a bunch of bullshit.
Crap. Exactly.
So.
But yeah.
And that's what I say. And that's what I like about SciEnts. Hopefully there's no drama here. And if there is drama, guys, let's try to nip it in the bud. Let's not have drama. Let's not create drama. Let's not be about any drama, because there's enough drama in our lives. without having any of it here. We all need this place for the same reason, and that's to come here to have a place to hang out. We like to have a sesh every now and again and smoke
The
one and talk
the only
grows and talk about what's going on in our personal lives. And it's a place for friends to hang out, and it's a nice community, and I think we ought to try to keep it that way. Let's try to keep it that way on IG. Let's try to keep it that way on YouTube. Let's try to keep it that way in the chats. Whatever Discord servers you're on, guys. Let's fucking kill the drama and just fucking smoke and grow and enjoy this shit. There's
that's
enough
what we're here
bullshit
for.
going on.
I feel you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this, man. I mean, like Jeep says this to me all the time. He's like, man, I'd rather give somebody weed than see somebody smoke some fucking garbage.
Dude,
You know?
right? Dude,
Like,
actually, that happened to me the other day. My coworker came up to me and Glenn was just like, I was talking to so and so, and they gave me this, and they held out their hand, and it was just like some fucking like not even sugar leaf, like some fucking fan leaf trim looking shit. And I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad. I came back the next day with some Primo Nugs and was just like, here, buddy, enjoy.
yeah. Here's a little taste of something nice, man. Enjoy
Yeah,
this. And
right.
like, yeah, and then you're like, but at the same time, it makes you feel good because you know they're gonna enjoy it. And he probably came back and said, hey, man, that was some fire shit, or that tasted like, blah blah blah, and that was really good, or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
Like
it's
you get that
beautiful on both
satisfaction.
parts.
Oh
Right.
hell
Even the
yeah.
girl with the fan leaf trim, even she was sharing the love. You know what I mean? And that's beautiful in its own way.
Right. I mean, if that's what you got to share,
Exactly. At
there's
least you're sharing.
nothing wrong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with sharing. I mean, I don't think so anyway. I mean, to me, yeah, like I had some bullshit happen this week where I had a couple plants come up out of my backyard, and it really, really kind of upsets me that I think I know who did it, and I think it was family, and I think it's pretty fucked up. But at the same time, man, if you're gonna grow outdoors, um, you might as well plan on losing it to something. You're gonna lose something. You're gonna. It happens.
All right, but that's also where we as a community come in. I mean, like an undercover always has that 9 pound hammer, and I mean,
And see, and
everyone's
that's where, that's what I was just gonna say, man. I was just getting to making that point that that's what community is all about. Because even though I had a loss, I didn't really lose anything because I've already got a cut of that coming back to me, and it's it's not gonna be outdoors where it can be stolen, and I'm gonna make sure that that cut stays around here for a long time. That's
none
the whole
definitely.
reason for this aeroponics, this new aeroponics system that I'm working on. I'm gonna make sure that when I take a cut, that it takes.
Hell yeah. But and that's what I mean is just like that's what science is just in general. I mean, we're a community here for
Oh
people.
yeah,
We instead of drama, we like to resolve problems instead of, create problems. The only
yes.
problems we like to create is a little bit of doubt on which one you think is better. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's the only doubt we want to
see, and here's the thing: we just wanna. It's not there. There's really no right answer. Everybody's area, everybody's system, everybody's setup is different. It doesn't matter how well you can copy somebody. You're where you are is different. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah. No, and that's
your
the
your
beautiful thing.
environment is completely different, so it doesn't even matter if you can completely emulate somebody.
You
Things
know,
are going to be different.
the
Strains are
natural
different, cuts are
factors,
different.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
there's no right or wrong answers, man.
And that's the coolest thing about pot in general. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Think about the different strains that help different people. Like somebody might smoke some 9 pound hammer and not even feel relaxed off of it. The next guy might smoke 9 pound hammer and it might, put him to sleep for the next 8 hours. The next guy might smoke 9 pound hammer and he might, it might take his arthritis pain away and he can work for 6 hours. So you never know what the plant can do for you because it's not just about recreational and getting high. I mean, I personally use it as medication. I don't, yes, it is fun to get extra stoned, but at the same time, I mean, I take it to relax the muscles in my back so I can continue to walk around.
And
Because
for
if I
me,
don't, then I got to be in a wheelchair, and who wants to do that, man?
I feel that. And for me, it's art. That's art and education. I mean, cannabis has taught me so much about so many different things, and it's allowed me to basically take on so many things in so many different forms, and have them all be relatable, to all basically like one kind of easy thing. And that's like the one thing that has stood out to me. And I mean, it's just so malleable, however you want to take it, really.
Well, there's a lot of things you can share about cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's education, whether it's how to grow it, whether it's how to teaching somebody how to roll their first joint, or teaching somebody how to inhale. Just teaching somebody how to smoke,
You're right.
or teaching somebody how to make canna butter because they don't want to smoke but they still want the benefits, or
True shit.
making RSO for somebody, or teaching someone how to make RSO, or somebody it happens there. You hear stories all the time of somebody that was growing outdoor and likes growing outdoor, but all of a sudden somebody in their family's sick and they need some RSO, so they want to take it indoor and they want to get it going right now and get it done. And, and it's like, well, it takes time. You can't just,
You can't
it's
just
not,
do it.
yeah, I mean, it takes time. You have to get set up. You have to make sure that you've got room. You have to, not only do you have to have room, but if you're going to grow indoor, you have to have a place to veg and bloom. Or you have to do it in such a way that you can veg and bloom in the same spot and then only have a harvest every, you have to
You know,
maximize that veg and bloom. And it takes time to
exactly.
learn how to do that. It's not just, there's a big learning curve there.
Exactly.
And there's many different ways to do it too. If you're trying to go with speed, I don't recommend going in soil. I personally found that soil indoor is way longer and a way harder process when you're trying to produce medication. It can be frustrating, and it can be frustrating to the point where it can make you want to give up,
And
because it's a slow process.
I'm 100% with you there. Cuz I mean, I am a cocoa grower, but also somebody who's in the middle of learning and actively pursuing like super soils and permaculture, but I also run ADWC, and I'm converting over to multiple two-site DWC systems. And but the technical thing is with the permaculture, it's a theory of doing everything pretty much for free when basically through hydroponics, if you want to kind of keep everything in perfect order and have that perfection and that thrive and that yield, you kind of do pay for it. And so I mean, that is one
Oh
thing
yeah,
that I do chime in for is price point.
yes. So that's another thing is price point. You have to you have to invest in some lighting. And you have to do it effectively. And that's kind of why that's the whole idea behind the show and the DIY, trying to keep it all tied back together. And that was why I went and did it the way I did it, because I knew I could at least get started that way. And not only get started, but I was watching and learning and seeing people produce medication effectively under that type of lighting, so I knew it could be done. Well, if one person
Exactly.
can do it, you can copy that person and you can do it yourself. You just got to
Exactly.
figure out what they did.
And that's the coolest thing about the science thing is that basically when you're in our server, I mean, you can see like pretty much every single different style of growing like that there is, period. I mean, how many people we got? 20 different people in there, 20 different styles of growing, and
Oh, yeah.
you can talk to every single one of those people almost.
Yeah, and not only that, not only can you talk to them, but you can probably talk to them on a daily basis and become friends with them if you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying go into the group and try to become friends with everybody. I'm just saying that it's a group of people that have, because of the love that we share for our craft and because of the community that we are, we have become, some of us have become really good friends. And that's another awesome thing about the community.
Exactly, and even with that, we're also just a quick place to learn some really good information.
Oh yeah, I mean just in science publications alone, you can
Oh my
find
gosh.
out, dude. There's so much info in there. It's just because everybody comes together and shares, and we try to make it available to anybody who wants it. If you need the information, it's there. And if you've got questions, you can post pics and ask and get answers. There's always somebody who's going to answer you. Somebody's on here going to say, hey, what's up? If you got a question, you say, hey, I got a question, or, whatever.
And it's all responded pretty quickly because there's quite a few of us. And while somebody's chatting you up, if they have no clue, typically the person who does know the answer will hop on for a few minutes and give you the actual answer, which is pretty cool.
Well, and not only that, but we're a group with a community. We know each other. We know who's going to have the answer. So if, like, I see a question and I don't have the answer, I'll jump in the DMs and say, hey, man, there's somebody on here asking some questions. I know that you know the answer. Help them out. And that person, 99% of the time, if they can't do it right then, will get back to that person and answer their questions.
Snappy.
Yeah, I mean, it's quick. It's within a day, within a few, a little while. So it's all good.
No, exactly. Yeah, no. I'm just saying it's a great group.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think that the reason that it was founded, even though that some of the tree birds and some of the guys that founded the group don't even hang out with us much anymore, it's because they're busy and have lives and have had things happen in their lives that they've needed to take care of, and we respect that, and we enjoy the fact that we still have the group even when those guys aren't even here. That's actually pretty cool. They don't have to be here, and the group still does what it was designed to do, and that's help the community.
Exactly, and that's actually a really good point.
So if there's anybody out there that who's breathing into their mic, UCG wants to know. Hey, Roy Boy, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you in chat. I'm glad you're watching. I've been trying to pay attention to chat. I'm just sitting here. We're just shooting the shit. Me and Cosmonaut King are shooting the shit. If you want, guys, I'll throw up a quick link to the Discord. Hopefully we don't get anybody that we're going to have to put the boot on, because trust me, if there's anybody that tries to jump in here that we think is not supposed to be in here, we will put the boot on to you. Just to let you know, people.
You'll get the boot, eh?
You'll get the fucking boot. We will put it to you. We will put it to you.
Oh yeah, isn't Doobie Canadian? I'm sorry, Doobie.
Yeah, Doobie's Canadian. Doobie is there's a few. OMC. Yeah, we've got some.
Oh, OMC's Canadian too. No way. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, dude. There's a few. There's a yeah. So here, hopefully, boom. There's the Discord link. Hopefully it works. If there's anybody out there that is looking for information on growing indoor, outdoor, basically any style you can think of, there's going to be somebody in this group who's either doing it, done it, or in the process of setting up to run it. So you'll find some info here. You'll find some good folks here. Don't try to come in here and be taking advantage of people, because we will boot you and ban you and you will be gone. Just to warn you.
And then we'll take advantage of your mother.
Yeah, well, well, we don't even have to tell them that. That's already going to happen. Like, that's a given. So,
We gonna exploit her cooking.
that's right. And her brownies.
Mm-hmm. You think you get the meatballs no more?
No meatballs for you. So yeah, having said that, guys, we do hang out in Discord quite a bit. We jump in voice chat. We try to jump in voice chat once a day and talk about our grows or anything else that's going on. If anybody's got any questions, they can jump in and ask when we're in there. And there's a bunch of us that are in there. It's not just like 2 or 3 guys that are in there. There's holy crap. There's 15, 20 people that are regulars that chat, on a regular basis. I think 15 to 20. That might be 20, might be pushing it, but there's at least 15 that chat on a daily. So that makes it a pretty decent group. And there's a lot of people that do pop in and say hi and shit that aren't as regular as daily, but at least weekly and some monthly.
And you could be 16, because honestly, I am 15. I'm pretty much like the newest regular member here. So.
No, seriously, like some people, like dude, we've had people that were here for 6 months chatting right along, and then all of a sudden, boom, gone. It's like, dude, what happened to so and so? I don't know.
Right.
And they've still got a channel and stuff if they want to come back. I mean, we're always glad to have anybody that maybe happened to delete their Discord or lost a link. Dude, if you were here and you lost a link or something like that, and you want to come back, don't be afraid to come back. Just remember that we're not afraid to boot you if you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And so what are you working on? Like, what kind of DIY stuff you got going on right now? I'm actually currently sitting here at my desk talking to you, pushing holes through a hose, an air hose to make an air stone.
Oh, well, so me personally, I'm cleaning my garage, but after that, I'm waiting on a couple of 1 1/4 inch grommets from Amazon so I can get the rest of my 2-site DWC buckets up, and then all of those will be ready for once I finally get the tear down on my latest crop. And then basically after that's done, those will go in there. And then I don't know. I'm planning on taking out that little like cloner section underneath my desk, and basically I'm gonna take out that whole side of the desk and then build a whole cabinet up against the wall, and then do 4 separate rooms, 4 separate little like cabinets
Chambers.
in there. Yeah, for breeding and stuff like that, and then do like a 3 shelf or something, just like 4-foot long T5 thingy for cloning and breeding out the clones and stuff like that.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. That's quite a bit, actually.
And yeah, hopefully it gets up and done soon, but we'll see.
Right. No, I hear you. I got to do some cleaning out and getting rid of some stuff, and I got to make some space in order to get my veg up to the space that I feel like I want or need in order to be more along the lines of a perpetual.
No, definitely.
I need a little bit more veg room in order to really be able to call myself perpetual.
Right.
I'm going on starting week 4 here with this one in bloom, and I don't have a plant to flip next week, which I should.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to see if I can push these ladies in flower a little bit later, so I can veg out these plants in veg a little bit longer, and then let all that Jack Skellington, the Jack Ripper, Sour Diesel and the Blueberry Kush catch up to where I can at least get like 2 or 3 clones off of each of those, and then get those into vegging for the long flour on the LA cookies, because those take like 10 weeks.
Right. Well, it is going on 7:15. Let's see. We've talked DIY lights. We've talked about doing some cobs and different setups like that. Like I said, I'm working on making an air stone, DIY air stone. I figure if I've got the air line, I might as well poke some holes into it and lay it down and make that an air stone.
All right, definitely.
It saves me a little money, and I don't have to make another purchase in order to make my grow better. I guess is one way I'm looking at it.
Definitely. And yeah, I'm gonna summarize up the DIY lighting really quick. And basically, my thing with just with the lighting is, most people, when they're going inside or inside their own kind of room, I personally would stick with constant current, because basically with constant current you have a high voltage, but with constant voltage you have a high current, and basically with constant voltage you tend to hit your 10 or sorry your 15 to 20 or 30 amp limit pretty fucking fast. And so I mean, with that being said, like if each cob is driven at 1 amp, which is pretty standard across the board, or I mean even kind of low sometimes, then basically you're only going to fit 30 bulbs in there at max, and that's not including your fans, that's not including your air stones, your buckets, all of that good jazz, or anything else. That's literally just your lights. And
Right.
so basically when you stick to constant current, you're basically relying on the voltage limits of your driver and then the voltage limits of your wire. And typically the voltage limits of your wire far exceed the driver anyways, and so I mean, you're fine. With that being said, it kind of goes on after that to basically like heat sinks, noise, size, weight, all that good jazz. Active has quite a few benefits, but so does passive. Basically, when you go to active, there are some heat sinks that blow downwards, and so it's like a canopy fan, and so you save quite a bit of room with ventilation and good jazz like that, and they stay pretty cool, so it doesn't hurt your plants by any means. Basically, they're smaller, they're lighter, and they really don't take that much electricity. It's like, 4 to 12 watts maybe. So really, it's not that much. Passive, they're larger, they're heavier, but they're completely silent. It's not like you're gonna hear a hunk of metal unless you're quite schizophrenic. So I mean, with that being said, it really kind of depends on what you're looking for, and you can always make passive heat sinks active. And the one thing that I have about the passive heat sinks is oftentimes you're going to use the pin ones or something like that, and they're pre-drilled. And so if you want to custom or start customizing things, then basically you're a little out of luck with those, unless you want to kind of re-drill them and sometimes take off whole pins and stuff like that. And that can be a little irritating, and they can be pretty irritating themselves to tap. Same with that. And yeah, basically going back to the spectrums and blending and all of that kind of stuff. Most people think that you can slap a whole bunch of different diodes and be like, hey, I've got all this different fucking light from different fucking spectrums coming in, blah 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 blah. But once it reaches the canopy, it might be something different if all the bulbs aren't really the same size, or if you have your light backed off or too far away. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so with that being said, stick to something that you can cool properly, To be honest, all of my lights can almost get as close as you'd get comfortable putting to a fluorescent bulb. I mean, within like a couple of inches, and you don't typically see a whole lot of damage. And so that's pretty nice. And yeah. So stick within the same bulb size, or else you kind of waste. My one thought on using different bulb sizes is, I've kind of got a theory to where since like red diodes and those smaller red strips aren't nearly as strong as any other kind of light source, basically, and the underside of a leaf is just as susceptible to light and photosynthesis and all that good jazz as the top side, but they're just a little bit more prone to burning. But you wouldn't get that with the smaller diodes. Then basically, since you'd have a shorter distance for the like red or blue or whatever diodes to reach to the canopy top, then basically if you were to have a stronger cob type up top, and then you were to want to enhance with red or blue, then you could understrip kind of like a movie theater, if that makes sense. And so they shine upwards from the bottom. And so once the spectrums meet at the canopy, then it would be the favorable color, if that makes sense.
I'm pretty sure I followed it, but it might have been a little much for the average guy starting out.
Makes sense, and I
But
apologize about that.
but no, I think that you're making a great point though. If you are going to mix spectrums, you have to make sure that you have to make sure that your light is mixing properly in order for your spectrums to mix properly to be most effective for proper photosynthesis.
And I totally forgot because this was just like scribbled in the corner of my paper. But one thing I want to point out that most people don't exactly get the hands-on ability, with cobs versus quantum boards and stuff like that. Basically, the one thing that I love them both and they're both amazing, but so when you count for drop off on the side of each one, they're both almost the same horizontally. Yeah. And so basically, when I measure both my HLG 304s and then my 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 1212s, my cobs, um, once you pass 3 inches off the side, you'll basically start to drop off pretty hard on light efficiency. And so then when you get towards just about 18 inches vertically, then you start to drop off. And so it's a nice 90-degree cone, but in the same way, when you look at a quantum board, since they're so densely packed, it's basically the same, but it's a giant cob, if that makes sense. And to where your light path and your actual like photon density is gonna be pretty close to your edges. You know what I mean? And so that's the one thing that I have ended up favoring about the cobs, is that you can underdrive them, still have quite a bit of light and blah and photovoltaic efficiency, while basically um, uh, being able to push all your widths a little farther. You know what I mean?
Right. You can
And
spread your
so
light out a little bit and still have the same amount of. You'll still get your same efficiency at the canopy.
exactly. and
Yeah.
and because yeah, I mean, just because there's all those diodes on the board doesn't change the 90 degrees on each side of the board. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And so
So
so when
unless you're using something that's actually bouncing the light back to the canopy from the edge, like you are going to lose something there. That's why a lot of people use the tents and reflective materials, because it does add back to the efficiency.
Exactly. But and yeah, I mean, it's just, and so yeah. I think that the Cubs are much more malleable, and I mean, if you were to even look at stars and diodes and wanting to build something like a black quantum board, you could eventually get to something pretty darn efficient that way. Um, but it's as far as you want to go, and that's the beautiful thing about places like Horticulture Lighting Group and Cobb Kits, is that they'll have pretty much everything that you need within a stone's throw. Cobb Kits, while not exactly selling whole lights, they do have the light engines, but they've got absolutely everything that you need to get up and running. Horticulture Lighting Group has everything but drivers, and then their driver distribution page is absolutely amazing, and you can find fucking anything on there, and that's pretty nice. So yeah. With that being said, these main distributors are really putting out amazing products, but really, um, just learning a little bit will take you really, really far at a much better price point.
Oh no, and you're exactly right. And please, anybody out, please guys, if you do watch this show, don't think that we're knocking HLG or
Oh
any.
no.
We're not knocking Chilled. We're not knocking Mouse. We're not knocking anybody, because I'll tell you what, those guys, those innovators, are making it to where we can do these DIY builds and stuff that much cheaper, especially
Oh,
guys like
exactly.
Mouse and Chilled, and I mean that's
And half
we're
of
all
what I know I learned from Mouse. So
exactly. We all learn by watching YouTube, and hopefully, this is another one of those videos that hopefully we'll have some links up, and we'll be able to share some of the info that we've talked about today, guys. And you guys can find some products and stuff if you're looking for some places to go to find some DIY lights. Definitely check out LEDs. I mean, you really can't go wrong as far as efficiency and not having to deal with heat and adding extra stuff to control your environment.
and yeah, and I mean, and that's kind of what I always say is that, to be honest, they're almost the same price, um, upfront. To be honest, because what well, the nice thing about LED is what you're not spending on drivers and bulbs and blend heat sinks, and the biggest thing is shipping for all of that shit. You would be spending on cooling your whole entire room, basically, with extra ventilation, duct fans, so on and so forth. When it becomes much less important when your lights don't affect your temperatures anymore.
Right. Right. If your light's not affecting your temperatures, then yeah, that's less you have to do to try to control your environment. And you're saving energy because you're not using draw fans to draw cool air in or suck warm air out, or both. Um, and also, when you're controlling your environment, you also have to think about how much air your filter's drawing, and if you can use that to not just be your carbon filter, but to also offset some of that heat in there. If you set your carbon filter up high and it's drawing out, it's going to draw the heat out. Therefore, your room's going to be cooler. Things like that.
It's all
We
about
just
pinpointing efficiency.
Yeah, you're just trying to be as efficient as you can. Nobody wants to waste money, especially this day and age. Everybody's got to live, and everybody wants to live as best they can. And if you can save money in the grow and put that money towards something else, uh, you know, maybe instead of hamburger you buy a steak, or instead of LED light bulbs you buy a couple cobs. Whichever way you want to look at it.
Exactly.
So it is 7:33 in the p.m. and that's about an hour and a half show, guys. And
Damn.
I want to thank you, Cosmonaut, for all your useful input and knowledge into the LED lighting world. Hopefully you'll be able to get those links up for us so that we can find some of those cobs and stuff that you were talking about.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And guys, the link is there for Discord. So if you
We would
if you
love
wanna
to
if you
see
wanna
you.
check
We
us
would love
out,
to talk to you.
yeah, if you want to check us out, don't hesitate. Grab the link, stop in, say hi, and with that, I am going to say thanks for being with us, Cosmo. Thanks for all your help in keeping the show going, keeping me talking, and
Oh yeah.
cheers, everybody. As Undercover would say, keep growing, keep smoking, keep knocking prohibition down, and peace.
Oh yeah. Have a good one.